Good morning and greetings to y'all. Thank you for each of you who's already shared. I'm sorry to you children. This will be a long service, so we'll do our best, but it'll be one for the history books, right? So just so you can remember. My title this morning comes from John chapter 12, verse 24, I'm sorry. Verily, verily, I say unto you, except a corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abideth alone. But if it die, it bringeth forth much fruit. My title is Death by Germination. And I want to talk a little bit about that. So I'm going to go take up some of the vein that some of the rest of y'all have been doing. A little reminiscing here. Whenever I first came to this congregation, I was a young father with 4 small children. Probably about Ivan's stage of life. But it was in the middle of a deep recession in the United States. I had a lot of medical bills, and I was kind of stuck in it felt like a difficult church experience where I was at. So we came here. There was this little old building. It had its own problems. Just to be honest, there was kind of a difficult women's experience going on at the time. And the church was just heading into a challenging, potentially divisive period of defining a statement of practice. Y'all remember that? That's kind of about the time I jumped in. But God has been good, and y'all have been kind and generous. And I feel like the last 15 years has been a good church experience for my family. I have a lot more friends. I have colleagues. I have mentors. I have mentees. But in many ways, it feels like this is the end. The OCF that we worked for, built, and enjoyed is over. I came here, and I knew they said that the Hillsborough brothers, they were going to sit kind of up to the front, and I'm here looking like, no, it's not just up to the front. It's like halfway to the back on the side over here. Like it's 25% of the seating. Brother Dan, who helped start the congregation here, he's semi-retired. He doesn't take a public role very often anymore. Corey, the other pastor, he's leaving for the new church. And many of the brothers that I have meaningful friendships with are going to Hillsborough. We've had such good times in cell groups and friendships, and I'm going to miss y'all. Church isn't going to be the same without you. And for those who are leaving, for those who are going, it's like they're leaving a good, healthy church. Like, who does that? Who walks away from a reasonably good church experience? And for those who stay, what if OCF never recovers from this? I was talking to somebody recently who said, they see this happen sometimes where a church starts an outreach and they send families that are good, wholesome, sturdy brothers, and the sending church just sits there and flounders for the next decades. What if that's our experience here? What if we never do recover? I'm going to take you back to John chapter 12. Verily, verily, I say unto you, except a corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abideth alone. But if it die, it bringeth forth much fruit. He that loveth his life shall lose it, and he that hateth his life in this world shall keep it unto life eternal. And Jesus here gave us a seed as an object lesson. And I brought an object lesson as well. I've got some seeds here. I'll pick out my biggest one. That's an acorn. I got this bur oak growing in my front yard, and they make these humongous, really cool acorns. And that seed, let me show you what all I got here. I got this bur oak. Hey, y'all never suited me up on my little, okay, I'll just stay right here. It's my fault. I didn't go back and get my microphone. I've got this acorn. I've got another kind of acorn here. This is from a live oak. It's a much smaller seed, but for a much more longer lasting tree. Live oaks are amazing. They'll last hundreds of years if you'll let them. The squirrels left me a pecan. It was hard to find one that it's probably not going to be any good as a seed. That's why the squirrels left it. I got some seeds from a mesquite tree. They're still in the bean, but those will grow into a mesquite tree. I got a couple Chinaberry trees. I got some seeds from a China, I don't know, that's probably the fruit. The seeds are buried deep inside of that. This is from another tree in my yard. When I was a little boy, I called it a green bean tree. I think the proper term is a catalpa tree. They make these big old green bean looking things. And they're beautiful in the springtime, making like popcorn all over your yard. They're amazing. Got some seeds of that. And then this morning for breakfast, I ate a grapefruit. And so I saved the seed from a grapefruit. Got that here for y'all. And just because I cut open an apple. You probably can't even see it, and poor folks in the camera for sure can't see it, but that's an apple seed. Okay? And so we've got all these different seeds. And we've got seeds, these seeds, they're just a package of potential. Look what can be in each of these seeds. I'm going to pick on my pecan because I love pecans. Look at that beautiful pecan. I know this is a native one, but you know what? They're extra tasty. I love the native pecans for that extra flavor. It's delicious. It's nutritious. These are good. Just a beautiful little, look at these beautiful seeds. All of these seeds that I have here, and all seeds, contain the genetic information of a whole new organism. A whole nother tree, all packed up in one secure, tidy little form. Think about that. And let's go to 1 Corinthians 15. This passage in 1 Corinthians 15 was written to the Corinthian church to sort out some misunderstandings and misguided ideas on the resurrection of the dead. 1 Corinthians 15, I'm going to start reading in verse 35. But some men will say, how are the dead raised up? And with what body do they come? Thou fool, that which thou sowest is not quickened except it die. And that which thou sowest not that body that shall be, but bear grain. It may be chance of wheat or of some other grain, but God giveth it a body as it hath pleased him. Lost my place. And to every seed his own body. All flesh is not the same flesh. There is one kind of flesh of men, another flesh of beasts, another of fishes, and another of birds. There are also celestial bodies and bodies terrestrial. But the glory of the celestial is one, and the glory of the terrestrial is another. There is one glory of the sun, another of the moon, and another glory of the stars, for one star differeth from another star in glory. So also is the resurrection of the dead. It is sown in corruption, it is raised in incorruption. It is sown in dishonor, it is raised in glory. It is sown in weakness, it is raised in power. It is sown a natural body, it is raised a spiritual body. There is a natural body, and there is a spiritual body. I love this passage. I was asking my children, thinking here about verse 37, I guess it is. When you think of corn, I didn't bring corn with me, but when you think of corn, what color is corn? Is corn yellow or is corn green? See, which body are you considering when you think of corn? Do you think of corn as being the little package of genetic information, the seed? Or when you think of corn, are you thinking of a tall green plant full of foliage? So the cows just love to eat corn plants. Which is the real corn? And this passage is talking about our spiritual bodies as well. But I'm kind of taking this a little bit out of context and understanding that a big part of what we're doing is when we die, when a seed germinates and becomes something different than what it was, when the corn turns from yellow to green, is it still corn? It is still corn. It's in a different form, it's in a different body. Let's look a little bit closer at seeds and the process of this germination and of becoming a new body. Seeds, they've got a tough exterior, a really crunchy, hard outside. Pretty much every seed that's out there has that protective, hard coating or outside of it, but on the inside, it's packed really, really densely with things like starches, proteins, and that's why seeds are such healthy foods. You know, you want to eat some pistachios on a trip, you eat some mixed nuts. I've heard that the mesquite beans were an important food source for Indians in this area because they're so highly nutritious. They would grind them up, make them into a powder. I know my horses really, really like eating these things because they're so nutritious. All seeds have some kind of mechanism for spreading. They have a way to get somewhere else. You have this seed escaped the squirrels. My squirrels are busy at my place, and they're busy planting seeds. Right? You know how the squirrels will go around, they'll pick up a nut. Sometimes they'll eat them right away, but they'll often go over, dig a little hole in the ground, and bury a nut in there. Go back sometime later, dig it up, and have food for during the cold winter months when it's difficult to find food. But you know what? They don't find all of their nuts. And they're busy. That's how pecan trees get planted all over the place. And other kinds of trees. Apples. So an apple tree, it doesn't, that big fleshy thing around the apple, how did this seed get all the way from Washington to Texas to manage to get planted? Well, it turns out we want to eat that nice fleshy fruit. It tastes good. And along with it comes the seed. And so the seed has the opportunity to go somewhere else. And so the fleshy parts of a fruit really help to spread the seeds. Mammals, all sorts of. If you think about a milkweed and dandelions type of things, you know, whenever they put their seed pods out there, it's just fluff, and the wind takes and blows it all over the place. They always have a way to get somewhere else. Consider the giant sequoias out in California. They drop their cones, but the cones need a fire to be able to sprout and develop. All types of ways that these different types of seeds are going to get spread and activated to go. So for there to have a seed to be able to take the next step into germination, you have to have just the right conditions. You need consistent moisture, so buried in the soil generally provides that good consistent moisture. You got to have enough oxygen in the soil, more on that later, and it needs to be warm. Can I have the slide, the first slide that I sent to you? Nope, not that one. More on that one, the other one later. Okay. Here is a little description, a picture of the germination. First thing that happens to a seed is it soaks up the water. And when the water comes in and soaks into the inner part of the seed, it activates certain enzymes. And these enzymes that are inside the seed already get busy and break down stored foods such as starches, proteins, etc., into usable energy. You cannot have anything growth happening until there's energy there. And the water activates the enzymes break down the starches, and now that there's glucose, oxygen, there needs to be fluffy soil, there needs to be some oxygen right there nearby to be able to react with the glucose to produce energy release. And there has to be warm enough temperatures for the chemical processes to proceed. And the first outward sign is we have a radicle. Now, does that sound familiar, right? A radicle is this little embryonic root thing. It's just something that pokes out of the seed first. It helps to anchor the seedling, make it stay there in the soil, not move away and not be washed away. Also, it helps soak up more water to be able to continue this process. Soon after the radicle, we have what's called a shoot. This thing coming up right here. A shoot, think about this, a shoot always moves against gravity. When I was a high school teacher, I would tell the students, I said, now look, when you're out there at your gardens, you got to be careful that you don't plant the seeds upside down, because you don't want the leaves going down and the roots going up. And they just laugh at me. We never have to worry about that, right? Because when the shoot comes out, it senses gravity and always moves against gravity. Does your mind go the places my mind goes to? It reaches towards the light. Still not able to perform photosynthesis. You know, it may be a little greenish in color, but it doesn't have everything required to be able to perform photosynthesis. And later, till we get over here, we get some actual, real leaves. And it's not until the leaves come that photosynthesis can happen, where water uses energy from the sunlight to perform a chemical reaction with the carbon dioxide in the air to collect carbon. Here's another thing, by the way. Another thing I like to ask the students in high school. When you think about a big tree, here's my big oak tree. Like, the stuff that make this acorn, where did it come from? Does the tree, suck it up out of the ground? Is there a hole beside the tree where all the resources came from? No. It's made out of air. It's literally It's air turned into hard substance, because photosynthesis extracts the carbon from the carbon dioxide, locks it away into hydrocarbons. And so, yes, it really is air. I love that part. God is so amazing. And in the process, it makes oxygen, right, that we need for breathing. It's so cool. But once photosynthesis can happen, the plant is now self-sufficient, is able to make its own food, it's able to grow, and the leftover parts of the original seed, the cotyledons, shrivel up. And whatever's left of the original seed just continues to rot away. And when we have this new plant, it looks nothing like the original seed. It's larger, it's fuller, it's fruitful, but the original seed is gone. It's not there anymore. This principle of abundant life springing from death is embedded into the fabric of the universe. Thank you. I'm finished with this slide for now. Let me read again our theme verse in John 12:25. I know I've already read it twice, but I'm going to have you all remembering this. He that loveth his life shall lose it. He that hateth his life in this world shall keep it unto life eternal. Several months ago, I had to be careful not to make this sermon overlap with the one I had several months ago about sacrifice. When God taught his people the principles in the Old Testament, the principles of sacrifice, and asking the people to produce more than they consume, a very, very essential part of a society. And God asks us to sacrifice. Life springing from death. Consider parenthood. Parenthood. You take a young couple. They're young. She's beautiful. He's adventurous. Their whole life is before them, and it's a wonderful thing. And they have a baby. And she gets stretch marks. And she has weight gain. And he has 18 or more years of responsibility. And what happens to all of the adventurousness and the beauty and all the wonderful things? It's like death. But what springs from that? You get a full heart. Turns out, the man is forced to increase his earning potential. He has no choice because there's more mouths to feed. And it leaves behind a legacy that'll last forever and love that never ends. Life springing from death. This happens when I need to surrender my will to Christ. Matthew chapter 21. Powerful verse here in verse 42. Matthew 21:42 says, nope. That is, it should be 44. Matthew 21, verse 44. Whosoever shall fall on this stone shall be broken, but on whomsoever it shall fall, it will grind him to powder. And so we come to Jesus Christ and we offer our will, our own way of doing things, and we say, Jesus, it's all yours. I'm going to give it up. It's all for you. And that's hard enough. And then he asks us to surrender our will to our brothers and to other Christians who are not as perfect as Jesus is, and asks us to surrender our will to them as well. And that is really hard. We're here today with the communion emblems. And I know it's not time, but I'm going to anyway. And we're here with the grape juice. That was once grapes, right? Whole, juicy, with that nice little tight skin that when you bite it, it goes crunch and it's delightful. Nice individual grapes, and they're gone. And all we have left is the juice. And we have the bread. And what was once a nice whole grain of wheat and a whole pile of grains of wheat have been crushed and demolished, ground up, lost all of their identity, mashed together with some grease, put in something burning hot to symbolize the broken body of Christ. You see what this is? It's whenever we die to our individual needs. That's where the power is. We can take on an identity far greater than what was. This communion service is a celebration, it's a remembrance of bleeding and death. It's really quite gory. Christians claiming the cross as a symbol is like a Jew that keeps a model gas chamber around. Or maybe an African American that wears his little noose earrings. You know, it's like you wouldn't do this. But Christians claim the power of the cross. God forbid that I should glory in anything save the cross of our Lord Jesus Christ. And so we die. We die over and over. 1 Corinthians 15:31 says, I die daily. And now let me get that other slide. This is a meme that pops up sometimes. And I've never watched this movie. I don't know. Probably you shouldn't watch it. But in this character, there's 4 guys that are fixing to be hung for their crimes. And this one gentleman at the top, he is distraught over his impending execution. The character on the bottom, he's looking over and he's like, what, is this your first time? My understanding is in the story, he gets executed over and over again. I don't know. I've never watched the story. But, like, who comes to an execution and says, oh, what, is this your first time here? But sometimes as Christians, our brothers are struggling and dealing with things that they need to surrender and die to. Is it your first time? This is a regular occurrence for us. We die routinely. Thank you. You can take a gruesome picture off. Okay. But this is what needs to happen. This is what's happening today, right? We're experiencing a death so that new life can spring from. I've been talking in all kinds of rosy pictures about the abundant life that follows. But we have no promises, and Jesus makes no assurances and no guarantees of what the outcome of this is going to be. It's not saying that this death is going to be any less painful just because it's from obedience. He only promises that it's going to be worth it. And so we're going to go back to the rock of Christ over and over to be broken so that seed can germinate. Let's close by singing song number 514. Number 514, O love that will not let me go. I'm going to sing verses 1, 3, and 4. Notice, especially verse 4. O cross that liftest up my head, I dare not ask to hide from thee. I lay in dust, life's glory dead. From the ground there blossoms red, life that shall endless be. Let's sing.
To
Back to you, Brother Corey.